Ooh, last week's Doctor Who episode was a wild ride. Millie Gibson absolutely stole the show as Ruby Sunday, living her entire life haunted by spooky supernatural shenanigans. And get this, the Doctor was nowhere to be seen. Can you believe it? It's an episode of Doctor Who that looks set to be a spooky classic. Until we got to the confusing last act anyway. So, let's take a look. After the suspense of last week's boom, the new Doctor Who season continues to deliver the horror in 73 yards, with an episode destined to be remembered as one of the all-time great companion performances. The Doctor and Ruby find themselves in Wales, but no sooner have they arrived than the Doctor mysteriously vanishes. And no, he hasn't gone for a quick wee behind the back of the TARDIS. It is now left up to Ruby Sunday to unravel this mystery, which then ends up stretching throughout the whole of her life, morphing from creeping dread in rural Wales to a political thriller set between London and Cardiff. The highlight of the episode was, without doubt, that oppressive pub scene in Wales. One moment everyone was laughing at the gullible English tourist, and the next there was this seriously unnerving undercurrent about Mad Jack stalking the night. Brilliantly atmospheric. To be honest, I thought that the entire episode was going to be set inside this pub. I thought that this was going to be a classic Welsh folk horror story that featured a siege where people barricaded themselves in against the threat of an ancient menace. I was certainly getting some American Werewolf in London vibes here, as in, don't go out on the moors. Although, as a Yorkshireman, I think the part that scared me the most in this scene was the cost of a Coke. £5 for a bloody Coke? You're having a laugh there, mates. So it was surprising to see the action then shift back to London and then to Cardiff, and the haunting presence that stalked Ruby in Wales actually continues to follow her wherever she goes. Michelle Greenidge as Ruby's mum, Carla, was a delight, dismissively saying that it was only Welsh people that were scared of the mysterious woman, and going on about how men like to potter in their sheds. I can't say anything to that. I am literally sat in my pub shed that I built during lockdown as I'm narrating this. So yes, I can confirm men do like to potter about in their sheds. But her delivery to a locked out Ruby of "even your real mother didn't want you" was conveyed with cold conviction, and abandoned or orphaned children remained a persistent theme of this run of Ncuti Gatwa episodes. At one point, Kate Lethbridge-Stewart and UNIT get involved to help out Ruby, and in a neat little bit of world building, it is revealed that these long-time allies of the Doctor have begun to notice some of the more stranger, more superstitious and supernatural elements that have started to creep into the world. So as well as the usual psychic training and telepathic dampeners, UNIT personnel have also begun to wear necklaces of silver and salt as well. However, even all these measures couldn't help Ruby, and she was once again left abandoned by those who previously would have helped her. As the years tick by, Ruby spends more time becoming isolated, with her only constant companion being this mysterious follower who always manages to keep a distance of, yes, you've guessed it, 73 yards. We actually see Ruby getting older, although by older I mean that she ends up having slightly longer hair and begins wearing a pair of glasses. There's clearly been a fantastic breakthrough in the skincare industry because she still looks like she did in her 20s. I mean, wow. But then Ruby sees the opportunity where she may be able to use this distant figure for something good, as she remembers something that the Doctor told her before he disappeared, about a dangerous Prime Minister in the near future with nuclear war on his mind. All of this was absolutely brilliant as Ruby showed that she never gave up and was actually able to prevent a disaster from happening. But then we got to the ending, and the identity of the mystery person was revealed to be none other than Ruby herself. There didn't seem to be any logic or explanation of how the older Ruby had been able to appear that way to herself for decades, or spring back in time at the crucial moment to prevent the timeline being created, beyond some vague hand-waving at, ooh, the supernatural. And what on earth was future Ruby saying to Carla and Kate that made them turn on Ruby like that? Sometimes the person that tried to speak to future Ruby would end up running away absolutely terrified, but Ruby's mother and Lethbridge-Stewart reacted with instant disgust and rejection. What on earth did she say to them? The overall point seems clear. Ruby needed to be kept alone so that she could focus on saving the universe. But there was no connection whatsoever between the explanation of future Ruby's true nature and the specifics of what she's doing and why she's doing this. This just ended up muddying the waters, which is a real shame, as it was shaping up to be an absolute classic episode until it was revealed that it was older Ruby all along, and the final act just faltered from there. The events of 73 Yards will need to be explained at some point later on during the series. We can't just have this waved off as, oh, it was something supernatural. We need a proper explanation about how this happened, how future Ruby was able to do what she did, and why she did it in the way that, well, she did. However, despite not having all the answers yet, this was still a gripping tale about fear, mortality, resilience, and mostly hope. It was about hope, which is something that stems back to that very first Doctor Who serial.
Fear is with all of us and always will be, just like that other sensation that lives with it.
What's that?
Hope. Hope, Miss Wright.
This was a Doctor-lite episode, a format introduced in 2006 to lessen the production schedule for the main cast, which over the years has led to some mixed results. For example, Love and Monsters is widely regarded as a mostly unpopular episode, despite having the brilliant stand-up comedian Peter Kay in it as the main villain. Although this idea would be utilised better a year later with two episodes, Blink and The Last of the Time Lords. In Blink, the Doctor and Martha Jones were kept mostly out of the picture throughout the story, only really turning up near the end of the episode. And in The Last of the Time Lords, Martha spent an entire year separated from the Doctor and navigating over a world ruled over by the Master, surviving God knows what and actually being able to still save the world. The same kind of storyline also occurred in 2008, with Donna Noble becoming the focus of Turn Left, a tale where Donna lives through an alternative timeline without the Doctor and ends up saving the day to reset events, although she ends up sacrificing herself in the process. That's kind of like this story really. Now, in the real world, the Doctor had to be absent from a good portion of this episode because Ncuti Gatwa had a scheduling clash with the final series of Sex Education, which was being filmed during the same time as the first block of this new Doctor Who series, December 2022 to January 2023. As a result of this, Ncuti Gatwa is in this episode for 2 minutes only. Yes, that's right folks, an entire 2 whole minutes. Count them both. So therefore Millie Gibson had to take up the reins in Gatwa's absence, and 73 Yards was actually the first ever episode she filmed, which makes her performance in this story even more impressive. This is even better than her performance in Boom last week, which was, again, fantastic, but here she gets to show off a full range in acting. It's a full-on acting masterclass. Ruby goes through, well, she goes through an emotional roller coaster throughout this episode. She ends up being terrified, heartbroken, vulnerable, angry, desperate, resolute, and finally triumphant. And she is utterly believable throughout it all. The seemingly now obligatory appearance by Susan Twist as the Hiker, her 6th distinctive character in the last 7 episodes, did finally spark some recognition as Ruby seemed to recognise her. But since we're in an alternative timeline, who knows if Ruby will remember her face the next time she crops up. Mrs. Flood also popped up as well in this episode, just to remind everyone that there's actually 2 mystery old ladies throughout this series. That's a lot of storyline balls getting juggled at this point, and it's really keeping the suspense going over what's going to happen next. Speaking of upcoming episodes, next time it's Dot and Bubble, with what appears to be a morality tale about the dangers of social media and cancel culture. Anyway, if you have enjoyed this video, then please do take the time to leave a like and a comment. Please also consider sharing this video across your social media, in particular with anything related to Doctor Who and classic sci-fi in general. Subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet done so, and do activate the notification bell to stay updated on new uploads. And be sure to check out some of my other videos. I have an entire playlist of Doctor Who related content for your enjoyment. But for now, thank you very much for stopping by the Big Daddy D Reviews channel, and we'll catch you again next time.